Hello everyone and thanks for coming back to the channel. I hope that you know what you've clicked on here. Yeah, this is about a Banggood sale. A couple of times a year Banggood has a sale. Our US vendors tend to have sales a lot more often, at least that I'm aware of. You know, Memorial Day, Labor Day, 4th of July, Christmas time, kind of some of the other 3 or 4 standard or nationally recognized holidays. US vendors will hit that too. But I wanted to highlight a few things. Again, this is a sale. This isn't to tug on your wallet. But if you're looking at things, it might be an opportunity for you to save a few dollars. And there's a few things I'm going to talk about that aren't on sale that I think you should look at, maybe from a Banggood standpoint, maybe from another vendor standpoint. So let's take a look. So this is the opening page to the Toys and Hobby. It's a typical graphic, and you see it's got the 1399 anniversary. So this ends on the 9th. I'm kind of late to the game. I've been swamped at work and pulling some long days, 14, 15-hour days. But I thought I should sit down. I got a few videos. Don't worry, I got a few videos ready to go. But there's a couple coupon codes, and I'll put links down in the video description to this. Those links will help the channel. They will help me to purchase things that vendors don't send me, things that you guys request that I review. I've got one of those things coming up actually here relatively soon, the Diatone, the 3-inch version. The name escapes me here in the moment, but I've been flying that a fair bit, and this is a retail version, so this would be exactly what you buy. But so things like that do help out the channel. It tends to fund those additional reviews. But we're looking at these 10% off and 15% off coupons here, and I'll put these codes down in the video description as well. I thought I should draw your attention there first because it's right there on the opening page, and you can see here across the top we have different days. So depending upon when you go to this page, you'll see different offers. So it won't be exactly what you see here, so you may need to look at this video, copy those codes, maybe use a digital notepad or something like that to pull those things out for later use. We oftentimes reference these goggles from Eachine. These are the 800, the EV800Ds. They're a kind of pretty... They're a fairly good standard goggle. We know how they work. They've been around for a while. Eachine has come out with a few different other goggles, and this one separates the back half and the front half. You've seen this on the channel a little bit. I tend to use the front half as a video display when we're at the desk. But this is only $85 right now, and we do have that Eachine code for BG each 10 for another 10% off. So if you're getting started in goggles and you want to get something with a DVR, something that has been tried and true and tested, that's one to look at. Let's go down here a little farther. The Emax Freestyle, the Tiny Hawk Freestyle, excuse me, $94.49. I'm not sure where that comes in with other coupons, but you've got that code that's printed right below that price of the BG10 Emax to get yourself that price of $94.49. But again, shop around, make sure your pricing is something that you can afford. I want to highlight this. Now, I just reviewed the SkyZone 030 OLED goggles, and a few things that I've learned since then. One, I've updated the DVR firmware, and that has gotten rid of that occasional stoppage over the footage that it almost pauses the recording, then jumps ahead. I don't know if it's 4 or 5 frames or how many frames it is, but it does occur fairly regularly. As I went through all the footage after that was called out in the review, I did go through a bit, and I found that did occur, so then I updated the DVR firmware, which was available on skyzonehobbies.com, and updating the DVR firmware is dead simple. And since then, I've found that the stoppage doesn't happen anymore. I didn't update the goggle firmware, which is available, because that had instructions in it that said that was to fix where the DVR didn't record. So kind of an odd little flashing where you flash the goggles if the DVR doesn't work, but you flash the DVR if you have that stoppage in the recording every once in a while. So that comes down to $387. So that's what, $50 less than the price point when I reviewed. It's a serious contender, and one other thing that was brought up was about support. I've done a bit of research and feeling out with other people. Apparently, SkyZone has been fairly well known to respond well to emails, but I couldn't find a case where somebody had a faulty pair of goggles and they had to get them repaired. So I don't know anything about that, but if you're looking at goggles, it's really hard to beat that price. But again, I can't advise you as far as the support goes. Also, that Eachine Nano VTX, I reviewed that on the channel. In my opinion, this is the best VTX I've flown, but I fly alone. I've seen many people talk about how it's going to bleed over. But I have yet to actually have anybody that's got firsthand experience or seen anybody report with firsthand experience of this VTX on whether that's actually a problem or not. Unfortunately, online you can find people that will be hyper negative about a product, but they've got no experience with it. So something to consider there. I have used 4 now, and I think I have 4 more that I'm going to be using in builds. At $14.90, it's really, really hard to beat. Smart audio up to 400 milliwatts. If you didn't see the video, you can see it on the product page. Banggood was kind enough to put my review video right on their page, so something to consider. The Tiny Hawk S coming in at just under $100. It's only 9% off. But again, you know, if you save yourself $10, $10 is $10. Oh, and the arc reactor. I have built 2 of these. The one that they show here, I've actually got in my son's room, so I don't have it down here to show you. But this one builds up a lot quicker because the wires that they use, the copper is a lot thicker, so you don't wind it all the way around. You just cut the pieces, and then you kind of bend them into place. So I found the building process was a lot quicker. And I do believe this comes without the acrylic case. It's just the arc reactor, and then you have to buy the acrylic case, and then the little ring I think does come with it, but the stand does not. But if you're interested in that, I think it's pretty cool. But I'm a nerd and I like cool things. Sometimes I'll build cool things, even not for myself. The Toolkit RC, this is kind of a charger. It has a touchscreen. I've got one. I haven't featured it in a video because really, I don't know, it seems hard to feature something like this in the video. But it's a charger. It works. It's a field charger. It also does measures your signal from your receivers if you wire it up to do so. It's got a USB port on it so you can charge stuff. Something that might be handy out in the field. I really do like the touchscreen interface on that. It seems to work pretty well. It's pretty responsive. I didn't find I had to press very hard. In this section, I wanted to look at this tool because if you're just getting started, it's kind of hard to beat this little tool. You're going to need tools eventually. Even if you're buying RTFs, you're going to have to repair at some point in time. And this has pretty much all the heads you will need as far as screws go, covered in one kit, and then it's only $10.99, so I thought it would stop there. Many people are using the GAP-RC boards, including myself. I've been taking the connectors off and soldering direct. Of course, we've seen 2 other boards features on the channel where you don't have to take the connectors off, and they have larger solder pads right on the board. So that's something to consider if you're looking at that. So the price point has come down to $31. I think those were like $36 or $37, maybe even $42. I think $42 is what I bought mine for from GAP-RC. They sent me a review copy, and then later on I bought some more. I think I paid $42. So those prices are coming down. You know, if you want to hold out for the new boards when they become available, that's fully understandable. This Tyro 79 over here has been holding steady around that $70 price point. This is a really good kit to get started in building. It's not one I suggest if you want a high-performance 3-inch quad, but if you want low risk as far as your wallet goes in getting started in building, this is a pretty good kit. The camera in mine was faulty. I think the cameras in several others were faulty as well. This is one, the Eachine Tyro 69. I'll be reviewing this after a while. I don't have it yet, but I would be hesitant on recommending this just because the way the stack's built. We've got no pod. In a wreck, you're probably going to damage your camera. I think this is just a poor design. You know, out of desperation, we used to have to do this when we were trying to build ultralights 2.5 years ago. My concern with this sort of structure is they've copied the toothpick, but yet they're probably going to be using nylon screws, and on the first impact, you're going to explode the flight stack and break something. The Eachine Diatone ER349, this is one I really like, and I still really recommend it. It's got that coupon code BG349 with the current price at $169. I think the BG code brings it down another 10%. That's a really nice performer and traditional 3-inch quad. I really enjoyed flying that and reviewing that. And if you're looking at a 3-inch quad and you want performance based with good efficiency still yet, that's one to look at. Of course, we've got the Mobula 7, a pretty high performance indoor flyer. Some people like to fly those type of things outside. Me, I prefer to tend to want to fly them inside, although with iGao, I have been flying those outside more. The Eachine trash can, which is really surprising, it continues to come down in price. Now it's down to $159. You know, it's the Caddx Tarsier in there is, I think on a sale price, it's $70. So even with all the other components, you're only paying $80. It's really tough to beat. And I thought 4K footage I thought was a little dark in my review. I also thought going 30 frames per second wasn't great. So if I had that and I was going to keep it for myself, I would probably record at 1080p and 60 frames a second. By the way, if I sound a little funny, it's because my allergies have kicked back in. Me and my son, we've got to get back to the allergist, start getting shots again. Oh, this is a neat little thing, this MC6S. I use it as a glorified battery checker, and it reminds me a lot of Tron. Robert Thompson guilted me into buying one, so I actually bought two, so I could have a spare. And it's one of the primaries that I use for battery checkers before I stick things on the batteries. You can do other things with it. You can bind receivers with it as well, but I don't use it for that purpose. I just use it as a glorified battery checker. And in that regard, it's a little bit expensive, but it's awful cool. If you're getting a Tiny Hawk Freestyle or one of these other Emax indoor-outdoor products that are micros, you got 5 batteries there for $17.49. I've not tried these myself. My suspicion is they're pretty much all the same, all made by GNB, because GNB is a huge battery manufacturer, and they make batteries for a lot of people. I like how they've got this DJI headset, but they have this price point at $1.99. This isn't even on sale. I don't think this camera's on sale. The VTX there that's got on sale, I don't know. Just kind of caught my eye when I was looking at this page earlier. Nothing that I was particularly interested there, but you might have an interest in something. The Eachine EV200D goggles, I have requested a pair of those to review. Many people have asked me to review those as well. Those are $100 less than the Sky Zone, so something to consider there. I don't think they're going to be anywhere nearly as good as the Sky Zones. The Sky Zones are just really, really good. I've been flying with those consistently since that review. The trash can, that's a reliable one, although it had jello in the video, but I've seen a number of people posting online how they like it. So something to consider. It is on sale at $84.99 right now. This little FPV watch, or as Eachine calls it, the RD200, that's a nice little bench utility. So if you're building or you're getting ready to fly and you want to find out what channel you're on without getting your goggles out and doing all that stuff, pretty quick way. You charge it via USB. Its range isn't great. Matter of fact, if you're familiar with Mr. Steele, he tends to do live streams where he points his phone at this sort of device, and then he flies, and that's how he does live streams of his flights. Pretty interesting. And we're going to stop here at these brand deals, and I think especially the camera one is one we should look at, so let's do that. As you can see from the image, we've got Caddx, Foxeer, and RunCam. Then we've got this BG Run C15 coupon, so that gets us 15% off on these products that you see below. I think most people would be interested in the RunCam Split 3, the Micro, and the Nano. I have the Nano sitting here, but I have not tried it yet. I have heard there's a latency issue, but that might not impact all pilots. You know, latency is one of those things that if you're going plaid and you're flying close to things, you may be impacted, you might not. We also have the Foxeer Mix over here. To me, the most interesting one is this Caddx Tarsier. You know, it continues to come down in price, $75. Then you tack on this coupon. I believe we can tack on this coupon. We get another 15% off, so we bring that down below the $70 marker. And I think most people who prefer a really good FPV view as well as HD filming are going to want the Tarsier. But that does add weight in micros. We need to consider that weight quite a bit. My favorite, just pure budget micro camera is the RunCam Nano 2. That's the one I use. I've actually got a couple of them sitting here staging up for a couple of more builds. So if you're looking to run my favorite micro budget camera, it is the RunCam Nano 2. I have another camera coming up for you. Also in the quad that I record videos is running this particular board. That's a good way of getting very clean video, and it's probably the best video you can get on micros without going to an HD camera FPV combination. But this adds about, I think it was almost 3.5 grams to your build. So it doesn't come with no weight penalty, but it has a very little weight penalty. The RunCam TX200U, I've used a couple of those. They're okay. I had one burn out once, and you know, they're just okay. I would say get the Eachine Nano VTX. It's better in 6 different ways. We've got Oscar's camera over here. I know some people really like the Micro Eagle. I'm not much of a fan. To me, it feels like a dull image that's over sharpened. But again, that's highly regarded by others. We're all different. We all want different things. I'll put links to the products that I'm calling out down below, but if you want to go to just these pages itself, I'll put those links down below as well so that you can scroll through and click on different stuff. The Frsky, I didn't find these sales to be particularly impactful. I thought the pricing was either retail or thereabouts. So I really don't have anything in particular. They do have a code, so if you were thinking you were going to buy something, you could use that BG Frsky 10 for 10% off. My favorite are the X-Lights, although I'm not running the X-Lite Pro right now because it doesn't do D8. So I've been sticking with the original X-Lights. with the standard gimbals. I've actually got 3 of those now, and I've got the X-Lite Pro, so I'm all set for radios. You're probably thinking I should give them up, but I've got one that's got a gimbal that's giving up on me, so eventually one's going to become probably a donor for the others. And then we got various receivers, stuff in there like that. We got some long-range stuff. Nothing that I would necessarily draw your attention to. We already saw this, but I wanted to draw your attention to it again. This is the ER349, my favorite traditional 3-incher. You can see you can get that from China or from the USA for shipping. So if in the US, you can get that relatively quickly. I believe they have a warehouse in California. And my absolute favorite break-the-wallet micro camera is the Foxeer Predator 4 Nano. That is a really, in my opinion, that is a really, really good camera. But it comes at a premium at $36. It is on sale right now. You see they have those little orange bars for coupons. You can click those. You get little coupons or prices off on these things. And that that's my favorite camera, but it's not one I use a lot because the price point is so much far north of the RunCam Nano 2. The URUAV 85, this is probably the most acrobatic HD micro whooped, although the SynCan comes in somewhat close. I was fairly impressed and surprised by this one. It's $150. The SynCan one is now, what, $9 or $10 more. I would just go for that one, but I wanted to bring this back up because it is an option. You can get it without the HD if you want to, and it brings the price down to $100, which is really good. This is 85 millimeters. It's surprisingly that these old props that they have on here are still relatively effective. They're not quiet. And this canopy on here, I actually bought one of these canopies because I've been doing some tinkering on the side to kind of do my own testing in that sort of hyperlight build. But the canopy is surprisingly stable for a micro and HD footage. I don't have this one. I haven't tested this one. I think it's fairly highly regarded, so I thought I would quickly mention it. It's not on sale, but the price point is $270. That gives you a price idea of why the SynCan is so cheap. You know, it's almost half of that price, the SynCan. So the SynCan is a pretty remarkable deal in my opinion. If you wanted something big, I don't know. I looked at this. I'm not interested. I thought for $129 I might buy one just so I would have something that would be that size and I could experience it. But I just don't think I'm interested. But if you are, there. Oh, and I did a search on Diatone Mamba, not because they're on sale, but because they have a number of parts that we might need for our builds. Now, these are all traditional flight controllers here. I wouldn't necessarily suggest anything other than the 405 over here, which is actually an edition old. And let's see, what else? Where do we go? The 405, 42. Why is that one so much cheaper? Anyways, these are the two that I would probably use unless I use the 411 down here. That's a nice little flight stack, but they're getting smaller and smaller and smaller. But the motors, I have found the motors in the Mamba line to be fairly special motors. They may not be the absolute most durable, but I have crashed the Syn out of some 1105s and 1103s, and I haven't come up hard. I haven't come up with any broken motors. So, you know, if you crash on concrete, in my opinion, all bets are off. But I've run into trees, I've hit the swing set, I've dirted it a number of times, and I haven't had any problems with these motors. I find they are very performance-based as well as efficient. So I tend to get longer flights with these, especially when I'm flying casually. Depending upon the machine, I'll get 3-4 minutes of flight time when I'm flying for the purposes of YouTube stuff. So I'm trying to go harder and trying to go faster so I can really show you the performance that at least I can show you when I'm on the sticks. They tend to be about 2:45 or 3 minutes. And I'm talking about the 1105s and the 1408s that you see in the picture. I wouldn't do the 2800s. I'm not convinced 6S on a 3-inch is worth our time. I know some people like to think throw more voltage at it and it will run faster, and yes it will, but you will be flying in a much larger space. You'll need a football field size of space because it's just not going to corner very well. Those batteries are ridiculously heavy and expensive in my opinion. But we also have the 1103 motors. I actually have I think I have all 3 kV of the 1103s, and I have a set of the 1105s. I put the 1105s on a build. The 1103s, I've got one set of 1103s on a build. These things will be coming up, so we'll get to see these. But if you're building, I would definitely look at the Diatone Mamba line of motors. I think they are, I've said it a number of times before, they are good performers and they are reliable. And then we get down to the bottom of the page and they have the Mamba new Whoop stack. I will be reviewing this coming up, but apparently it's already available. Let's see, is this pre-order? I bet you it is pre-order. Yeah, in stock alert. So I'll be taking a look at this relatively soon. Let's take a look at the other side. It's got connectors. I know that Carl, one of the representatives of Diatone, was getting some input on Facebook. I recommended they sell it both ways, that some people building will want the connectors and other people who are, you know, more diehard or traditional builders won't want the connectors, so it would be best to have it available both ways. I do see where it still has the USB port off the top. I don't know if I'm a fan of that anymore, but we'll see. You know, I could be convinced. We've designed a lot of frames for the USB to sticking out the bottom or the top. We'll have to see how this goes, because I really thought that coming horizontally off the board was the way to go. A few sales, I thought I would bring those out. Again, make sure you can pay your bills and feed yourselves, and you have all the money that you need. But if you did have a quad budget in mind, we got a couple days left to take advantage. I selected a few products to take a special look at. There may be other things that you want to purchase, and maybe now's the time. Any purchases that you do make from the links that I have in the video description do help the channel buy those things that aren't sent to me for review. Looks like I've gone way longer than I had planned to. I apologize for that. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, or otherwise, please let me know in that section down below. I appreciate your time, and thanks for watching.